Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Jim Ernston. I am the co-minister here, along with my wife, who is taking the day off, Reverend Lisa. So I know it's like, what's going on here? So you're stuck with me. That's what's going on. I just want to shout out and say thank you. This was a gift from Fred, and Fred loves the little wah-wah button. So I just wanted to shout out to Fred. And Fred's got multiple, along with personalities, he's got some, what do you call it, nicknames. Hoot? Hoot is one of them, and when you see him in fellowship, it's also Wawa. So thank Fred for his kindly gift. Welcome to Unity of Charlotte. If you're here in the sanctuary, if you're at home or in your car watching this on Zoom, or if you're watching this on YouTube later on in the week, we welcome you to our service. So let's go ahead and read yes, there it is, our mission statement out loud. Unity of Charlotte is the place where we nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the practice of unity principles. Simply put, we are here to love, grow, and serve. And we're very grateful to be able to have a guest speaker and musician here today. I will introduce John in a little bit, but just to build up excitement, I did want to mention John and Kathy, his wife, are here today as well. So make sure you stop by their table out in the entryway as well and check out all the goodies that they have available out there. Is there anyone here who is visiting for the first or second time? Just gently raise your hand, and we just like to acknowledge that you're here. There we go. We've got somebody brand new. We've got somebody brand new over here. Welcome. Know that we have a welcome packet, so if you haven't already been given a welcome packet, our ushers will give that to you. That has information on who we are as a spiritual center, as a church. It also gives you some information on the unity movement in general. And I would invite you to join us for fellowship afterwards. Ask anyone a question about unity, because I know we all know everything about unity. Right, Fred says yes. Let's see. Know that, let's go ahead and go to the next slide as well, that we have multiple ways of keeping track of what's going on in our community. We have a website, we have a newsletter, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, and we have the bulletin board. The bulletin board is the last and best way of knowing what day, what time, what's going on with that. So check out the bulletin board on your way out. The bulletin board, you'll notice, has a, what do you call it, a flyer, has a flyer, and you'll see the Ricky Byers flyer out there. We'll talk more about that revival as well. At this time, I would like to introduce John Stringer. John Stringer is a life teacher, a speaker, a billboard charting singer-songwriter, healer, author with a passion for music, community, and alignment with Source from moment to moment. Wow. He currently serves as a partner at Healing Arts Management, a host of the Alignment podcast, and co-host of the Awakened Pillow Talk, a podcast he does with his wife, Kathy. John speaks and performs around the world, supporting his Limitless Love and Light and Moment to Moment CDs, along with his latest book, The Abundance Vibration, a guide to alignment, as well as offering transformative retreats and workshops. Reverend Lisa and I first met John and Kathy in a retreat. John also did one of the YOU retreats that we attended in Florida. So that's how I met John years ago. You can learn more about John's offerings, including the upcoming 2024 Conscious Creators Retreat, which is down in Costa Rica, and the Spring Revival John is co-creating with the amazing Ricky Byers, happening at Lake Junaluska just up in the mountains here in April. So, and also make sure you visit the table that they've set up there as well. So, John Stringer.
Speaking of Ricky Byers, there was a time in my life I thought I had to use it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say if you're discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. Let it all go. This is what you have to say. I release, I let go. Just live my life. My heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. My faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Come on. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. My faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here
We are blessed. We are so blessed. Let's take a moment in prayer. I invite you to make yourself comfortable, to breathe into this space as we move from our head into our heart, feeling that love as we know our oneness with divine spirit, our oneness with this congregation and each other, our oneness with this world as well. We celebrate this beautiful spring day here. We celebrate the music, the message, and all that is Unity of Charlotte. And with that we say amen. Whoops. There we have battling buttons up here. And please join me in our prayer of oneness out loud. There is one presence and one power in my life and universe. God, the good, omnipotence. And Jim Fuller and I are doing science back and forth. If you know somebody in your life, family, friends, that is in need of prayer, this is the time where we will hold those names, those situations in prayer. So speak their name out loud now. Hold these situations in our heart in prayer, knowing that all is well. Amen. And at this time, I'd like to welcome up Mickey and Martin to do our daily word.
Oh, today's daily word, we're going to do it a little different. We're going to read the Spanish first. Okay. Domingo de Ramos. El Cristo en mí me protege y despeja mi camino. Al comenzar la Semana Santa, reflexiono sobre la entrada triunfal de Jesús en Jerusalén y cómo las multitudes nos saludaban gritando, Hosana, bendito que viene en nombre del Señor. Como muchos, he utilizado el tiempo sagrado de la Cuaresma para sanar mi alma de creencias y hábitos que ya no me benefician. Me he sentido bendecido al abrir mi corazón a las aguas sanadoras del Espíritu. Ahora me siento preparada para dar la bienvenida a una mayor conciencia de Cristo en mí. Cada parte de mí vibra con anticipación. El mundo parece nuevo y me siento viva. Con gratitud, contemplo y bendigo con humildad el Cristo en mí y en todos. Celebramos con gusto. Bendito el que viene en el nombre del Señor, Hosana en las alturas. Mateo 21:9.
Christ within protects and clears my way. As I enter Holy Week, I reflect on Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem and how the multitudes greeted him in shouting, Hosanna, blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Like so many, I have used the sacred time of Lent to cleanse my soul of benefits, beliefs, and habits that no longer serve me. I have felt blessed as I have opened my heart to the healing and cleansing waters of Spirit. Now I feel ready to welcome the greater awareness of the Christ within me. Every part of me quivers with an eager anticipation. The world seems fresh, and I feel newly alive. I behold the Christ in me and in all others. With joy I celebrate. With gratitude I humbly bless the Christ in me and in everyone. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Matthew 21:9.
Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Martin. Once again, welcome John Stringer.
I invite you to join me in a meditative prayer by way of psalm. It's a prayer of gratitude and a prayer of surrender. Thank you for joining me in that prayer of surrender. I once had a wonderful, I'll call it meditative ceremony, if you will, where I got to hear from that great I am. And as I'm listening, I heard, I am. It's you that needs to say yes. And that changed my perspective on prayer and realizing I'm just in line with that great, blessed love that is always saying yes to our dreams, always saying yes to our ascension, if you will. So thank you, Reverend Jim, and your wonderful wife, Lisa, right? Thank you for having us. Thank you to the community for having us. Grateful to by Jim and Kay. Thank you for hosting us. We had a wonderful night last night and this morning, and got to be greeted by Jim the Greeter. Thank you, Jim, for greeting us this morning. To say that again? Jim, the attendance taker. Yes, and the attendance taker. So we have been pleased to meet Jims at Unity of Charlotte, to say the least. So what I wanted to share this morning is a simple message called Making the Way for Ascension in honor of Palm Sunday. As we enter, we'll call it the Promised Land, we can learn from Palm Sunday's story that we are called to claim true roles as extensions of Source and find out what it is we are here to do. No matter what you believe about the stories of the past, what's most important is for you to understand what story you're here to create. So we're going to look at the historical story and apply it to our lives and talk about making way for ascension. So what do we mean by making way for ascension? What is that all about? Well, it is that our desire to suffer is eclipsed by our desire to opt out. And then we can find the ways that work for us, the paths that work for us to ascend. Once that's achieved, we make way for ascension, but how do we do that? And what exactly does that look like? Let's look at the story of Palm Sunday. So after a long time away from his homeland, if you recall the story, I like to call him Yeshua, because I think a more accurate translation might be Joshua, right? But we call him Jesus for whatever reason. We won't get into that. But Yeshua, that wonderful story where around 12 he flees to Egypt, right? Because King Herod, I believe, was going around killing people, killing kids. So he took off with his parents to Egypt, eventually coming back to his homeland. And we pick up on Palm Sunday where he's returning to Jerusalem. Now, if you recall this story, it's really fascinating because Yeshua is quoted, I like to say it this way. Yeshua is quoting a prophecy. And he talks about the glory of the prophet returning, or the king of Jerusalem returning on a donkey. And so he tells his disciples, go into this town and you're going to find these donkeys and bring them. And then he rides in on a donkey, right? A couple of things I thought were fascinating there. One, this story is showing he has this connection, knowing exactly where they need to go, what's going to be there in this divine order to fulfill a prophecy, right? We'll get back to that. But once he achieves that, he comes in, he's celebrated. They lay the palms, by some that is. The crowd that's there celebrated him because he'd already been going around performing miracles, doing sorts of things like that. So he comes in and is celebrated. Others ask, who is this? He say, oh, he's the prophet. He's the prophet from Galilee coming in, and he's riding in on the donkey. Thus, the prophecy is fulfilled. So, after that long time away and returning, riding in on a donkey, he's celebrated 1 week before being crucified, right? So we're caught up. Everybody knows that story. let's apply it to our lives. There are times when tribulations drive us away from home. Times when troubles drive us away from that centering, that alignment with the source. Times where trauma is triggered and we find ourselves no longer in that place of peace, right? Driven away. The truth is, when we're listening to the divine will for our lives, not everyone's going to understand us. Not everyone's going to recognize us. Not everyone's going to know who we are. But even then, we're led to a divine purpose. We're given information that we shouldn't necessarily have, and guided to fulfill our soul's blueprint. And it doesn't always look pretty. But when we surrender, it's transformative. It brings us back home. And there's a sense of humility. You see, in the story, Yeshua didn't come in on a horse. Horse is kind of known as royalty and power. He came in on, let's just say, an ass. That's what it was, right? Very humble way to enter. But he was listening. One of my favorite quotes I'll say is where it talks about the Father and I are one, and what I say is what he tells me to say and how to say it. It's channeling, essentially, right? This guy's claiming this communication, this form of prayer of listening. That's our birthright. What I would love to suggest is that making way for ascension means making a way to listen, finding the path that works for you to be able to hear and commune with that divine intelligence and allow it to guide you from moment to moment. And when we find that path, it's okay if we leave home for a little while, but listening so we can be brought back. So applying that to our lives, moving and being guided through tribulation, applying that to our lives when we find ourselves struggling and looking for answers. Making way for ascension is often listening for when we need help. Yeshua told his disciples, go to the town, grab the donkeys, bring them back. A little delegation. For you spiritual leaders, that's a wise and helpful skill. We're not to do it all ourselves, right? But being able to know what's yours to do and when to ask for help. I used to think I was here to do it all alone. Do it all myself, my spiritual practices, being disciplined, and I can break through and I can make the next, hurdle and hit this next level. And the irony is the more I grew, the more I realized the importance of community, the importance of a support network, the importance of coaches, the importance of spiritual family. We're not here to do it alone. And in fact, the more we think we know, I'm learning anyway, the more we're bound to find out we've missed the mark and get humbled. I'm so grateful for the lessons shown almost daily. Making a way for ascension means recognizing those areas we're holding on to beliefs as if they were the truth, but we haven't really tuned in and verified. We've kind of accepted them. And sometimes those are the very things blocking our experience of the perfection of now. Those little subtle judgments in the moment that sneak up on us, right? And we just kind of allow our attention to invest belief in and give power to. Those wonderful judgments that tell us what we see in the external is imperfect, and that all is not well, and that somehow we are separate from our good. Those subtle beliefs, often echoed in the media, on social media, echoed in our own minds. I'm grateful to understand now that when I wake up and begin to observe where the mind is going, I don't have to invest belief in it. I can observe it and surrender to that higher level of consciousness that knows, even though you're worried about, are you doing enough for your son? All is well. And everything is in divine order. Watching the mind think about the bills, debts that need to be paid, tasks that need to be done, observing and aligning with the source and listening to hear, I got this. Right now, you just focus on being present with me, integrating that oneness, and let me guide your path. Let me direct your steps. Making way for ascension means making way to hear for yourself directly what the will of divine is. Bypassing the typical limited condition thinking that we often identify with as personality and making that subservient to our highest self. Allowing that will to integrate and direct the personality. So that wonderful crucifixion, in my eyes, has been to let go of the belief in that self as the limited, separate personality, the John, the musician with locks. Had to let it all go. Release it completely. Thankfully, I heard to do that and had a little trepidation. Heard to cut it all off, release all my locks, shift. And as soon as I did and looked in the mirror, I felt home. It was the most peculiar thing. It's like I recognized the energy. And it felt more in alignment with who I'd become, who I'd been called to be. So sometimes the transformation is you become someone who appears completely different than who you used to be. Maybe it's how you walk, how you talk, or how you think, how you speak, how you look. But making a way for ascension means tuning in and listening to that divine knowing that knows what's next. What is it time for you to step into now? No longer being attached to what you used to be. Making a way for ascension means riding humbly into the space that the divine guides you to with trust and commitment. Not that you think you are less or greater, but that you trust and listen to what the divine tells you you are to be. That may be a millionaire. That may be a fisherman maybe a garbage person. Whatever it is, listening and trusting and letting go of the judgment. Your soul's blueprint is the key, and listening to the divine designer of that blueprint, letting it order your steps. That is the beautiful way to ascend into the life of your dreams and let go of the suffering. So, one distinction, we often look at suffering as the enemy, when actually suffering is a great and noble teacher. Right? There's no separation. Everything is for us. How so? Is suffering good or bad? Neither. Let's think of it as resistance causes the suffering, resistance to what is. And how can that be for us? Well, it teaches us what it feels like to resist. And it increases our desire to opt out. The more we suffer, the more our desire to opt out increases. It's a noble teacher. Once our desire to opt out eclipses our desire to suffer, we seek and find a way. And we make way for ascension. So, making way for ascension means implementing practice that assists you in aligning with higher levels of consciousness, higher levels of knowing that tell you all is well and always is, that tell you there is only oneness here, in separation, lack, and all forms of threat, political, economic, social, health, all forms of threat are illusions. Thoughts and knowing that tell you there is nothing to fear, even fear itself is not worthy of fear. That's making way for ascension. Many of us know this. I know I'm talking to some seasoned folk here. Just reminding you, right? But it's good to be reminded sometimes, because I don't know about you, but I forget. So I like to remember. When we surrender, we see over and over again that we can trust life. That life shows up for us, and that we can manifest internally all we desire now. Making a way for ascension means letting go of our addiction to chasing after external amplification of what we internally create. It means recognizing we are the masters of our experience based on the quality of our thinking. Making way for ascension means aligning with that great source to allow us to recognize what it's time to release in our consciousness, what it's time to shift and heal, so that we might feel peace, love, joy, claim our birthright of dynamic bliss from moment to moment, whatever that needs to be in the moment. Making a way for ascension means saying yes. Yes to the desire that is the seed of the very vibration we're seeking to amplify. Saying yes to the source of that desire, the great I am. Seeking to be an extension in consciousness as us. When we surrender, we see over and over again that we can trust life. We can align and accept all that is already present without suffering. And we can release all fear, separation, and lack thinking to transfer our experience into prosperity. You see, abundance is already here. Everything we need is already here. Some of us have been choosing an abundance of suffering, right? Congratulations. It's a noble teacher. We love to suffer until we're ready for some higher good. And once we're ready, we make way for ascension. prosperity. It's when we recognize everything is for us and we learn to accept and seek the lessons and receive what is for us. Receive from everything. Now, isn't that a wonderful, wonderful idea? Some of us are doing it and choosing it. The invitation is to remember that in every moment, all we need do is align with that source. Expand our awareness and access higher levels of consciousness to guide us in what to be in this moment, how to be, and to let go of the old. Many of us that want to ascend know it requires release. We can't take that baggage, that identity, that vibration, that old way of thinking with us. So I invite you to join me in making a way to ascension as we listen to that wonderful I am, that wonderful consciousness that knows, that guides us, that's always loving us, always telling us yes, no matter what we choose, and allow its will to integrate, that we might be guided to fulfill what we're here to do in this moment now. Take a breath with me. Deep breath in. And release. What I want to do is have you breathe and relax. And we're going to enter a meditation through song once again. As you breathe and relax, and imagine, if you will, this time, the highest self, the I am, the Abba, speaking to and through you in song. Just open your heart and feel into it. Here I am. I heard that you were looking for me. Part of me to look for me. I think that's kind of funny. And here I am, waiting for you. Listen for me now. I can't wait for as long as it takes.
but not real. So don't get caught in how you feel when you see something go down that you don't like. Remember, oh remember, there's no wrong and there's no right. Holy instant, holy moment. And please just feel into what has been co-created, whatever's arising for you. To the source of life, we give thanks. We say yes to our birthright of limitless love and light. We say yes to alignment. And experiencing the dynamic bliss of now. May you go forward, making a way each moment for your ascension. And so it is, Ashe, Aho.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. John did point out that we have 3 gyms in the congregation. Please be assured we have 3 official slots open if you know of other gyms that want to join us, but they're going fast. We now move into that part of our service, that offering part, where we know that as we give, so do we receive. It's through your generous gifts to Unity of Charlotte that we continue to be a light in our community. So please join me out loud. Joyously I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. The light of God surrounds us. We are light. The love of God enfolds us. We are love. The power of God protects us. We are power. And the presence of God watches over us. We are presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.